6 fighters remain in the Tournament of Power, and Toppo finally reveals his hidden trump card, the power of a god of destruction. This episode of Dragon Ball Super was so incredibly lit. Toppo finally revealing his true power to the audience after waiting an excruciating year to finally see his true hidden power. Does it live up to the hype? Yes, in freaking deedy. He delivers so much pain in this episode that honestly, it's one of the best things that I've seen from the Tournament of Power. He goes through a transformation sequence which makes him lose a little bit of weight and buff up. He has this symbol which appears on his chest. His skin turns darker and he gets this aura around him, this purple aura, which is actually the power of destruction, which is the energy that the gods use themselves. And what's really unique about this is not only is it a really cool visual aesthetic, but it makes it so no ki blast will actually hurt him at all. Not to mention, you can't just run in and start attacking this guy for fear of getting touched by this energy, as it can completely erase your entire existence. I mean, really think about it. This is an ability that negates ki blasts. That's like the bread and butter of every single Dragon Ball character, to get in there and start just blasting the hell out of everyone. And nothing works against the massive tank that is Toppo. So, this week's episode was really simple, as is most every episode of Dragon Ball Super. Goku and Vegeta continuing to battle against Jiren, and of course it is doing nothing, and Jiren continuing to show off by not sweating, not getting damaged, and by blowing the crap out of rocks just for no freaking reason whatsoever. But the rest of the episode is fully dedicated to Toppo, and we finally get to see Frieza actually fighting against him, and at first, Frieza seems to have something of an advantage here, seeing that he is in his gold form, he's significantly faster, and he takes advantage of the fact that Toppo is fighting against 17, who is throwing absolutely everything at this guy, but nothing works. They had this big, classic ki blast standoff. Frieza comes in, starts blasting him in the back, but nothing works. That's when Toppo goes through a transformation sequence, and he just starts destroying everyone. And the scene where he fights against Frieza, for me personally, was kind of bittersweet, as I want to see Frieza succeed in a sense that I want to see a nice little twist to this arc with the villain actually winning and getting to see how strong Frieza is, as I still felt he hasn't really had like a really distinctive episode in the Tournament of Power arc. His battle against Dispo was awesome, but going up against Toppo is going to be something incredibly epic here, and his golden form just gets completely destroyed. In fact, I think the scene that sold it for me the most was when Toppo just flied right up into Frieza's face and punches him right in the stomach, and you can just feel every single moment of Frieza just getting destroyed and wrecked by that attack. You can see his back exploding outwards. That's how strong the freaking punch was. And it was implied that Frieza was actually defeated at this moment, but of course he is not. He does return at the end of the episode to blast him again and to completely be made a fool of. In fact, I really loved Frieza's return after losing to Toppo for the very first time, because it's sort of a callback to the Namek arc. The actual pose that he's in with the closed eye, looking all damaged. It's just like the scene where he actually kills Krillin in the first, or actually really that's the second death of Krillin in the series. Except this time when he launches like a really big attack, Toppo just immediately disintegrates the entire thing, and Frieza is seemingly defeated yet again. As he's falling off the stage, however, there are some parts that are broken, and there are some new platforms, and he actually lands before he loses. So we're going to see more of Frieza in this arc, and I don't know if it's going to be in the next episode or the one after that, but just having Frieza still around is a really big deal. The episode ends with 17 launching a big attack against Toppo, who does the same thing. It freeze frames, and that's the end of the episode. It was exhaustingly awesome, and it was a great display of Toppo's power. So, what's the rundown on this week's episode of Dragon Ball Super? This is an episode that, man, it felt like waiting weeks for this one. Like, this was a really hotly anticipated episode. Me and my friends have been talking about it all week, about the possibilities of what could happen, who could lose, and how strong Toppo truly is going to be, and his power truly is something else. The power of a god of destruction. Not necessarily on the exact same level, but with the ability to actually use that energy, which is incredibly destructive and powerful, really speaks volumes for how crazy this guy really is right here. The first time he launches an attack at Frieza, Frieza just thinks he's going to completely tank it and get right through it because he's done this before, but it just completely obliterates his entire world. That, and like I said, the entire beatdown on Frieza was really satisfying to see. Toppo's just intense power and control over the situation, getting to see Frieza lose to a character like that, I don't know what it was, but it just felt right. And it's weird because you still want Universe 7 to win, but Frieza's also kind of a bad guy. But I also loved the unique camera perspectives that we got in this episode. Like when Frieza's getting beaten down, you get a POV shot of him falling down sideways, and then the next thing you see is Toppo's giant foot just coming in and kicking him right in the face. It's just so freaking awesome. Toppo himself is great. His actual transformation is very simple but very satisfying. Basically, he just gets really freaking jacked up, and that's about it. Aside from the colored skin, the god aura, and the crazy symbol on his chest, and I'm curious to know what all of that is truly about. His power is something to actually really think about, too, because when he did power up for that first time, Jiren actually stopped fighting against Vegeta and Goku, and so did they. They realized that this guy is really freaking powerful, and honestly could be just as much of a wild card as Jiren is at this point. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen at the very end of this arc, especially because I have a feeling that 17 and Frieza are clearly next on the chopping block, but getting to see who that's going to be is tough. Frieza's arrogance might actually end up getting him defeated, whereas 17's intense logical thinking might actually give him an edge in battle. He was actually really awesome in this episode, the way that he was darting around and dodging all of the attacks. And the battle got really intense because the power of Toppo actually completely cut the entire ring in half, and a lot of the chunks of debris are floating up in the air, so it's a great excuse for the characters to jump around and bounce off of the platforms, and getting to see 17 basically like pinball himself around while firing ki blasts was really satisfying. Not to mention just the really cool image of a ki blast going right into Toppo's face only to immediately disintegrate into nothing. He doesn't even have to block it. He can just take the attack and nothing is going to hurt him. Nothing like that has ever been seen in the Dragon Ball series, and it's a pretty great display of his godlike power. It is awesome. As for a final prediction as what could possibly happen at the end of the Tournament of Power arc, my prediction is that 17 and Frieza are going to lose to Toppo. That seems like the most logical thing right here, and it could end with Goku versus Jiren and Vegeta versus Toppo. But the thing is, in the next episode, Vegeta is going to be battling against him. That's what the preview is implying. And the fact that Frieza got sort of knocked out and sort of unconscious but still surviving in the ring makes me believe that maybe he'll just pop up out of nowhere and be a really surprising character. There could even be, dare I say it, a redemption moment for Frieza. Imagine if something actually like that happened, with him helping out Goku and Vegeta in their big battle against Jiren. I mean, the possibilities are endless here, and for 17 lasting this long as well, I'm really interested to see what this guy is going to do, because he's been really surprising in this arc, and honestly, aside from the arc that he was introduced in, this is some of the best Android 17 material that I have seen from the Dragon Ball series, and I really love it. Guys, as a Dragon Ball fan, this last weekend has been incredible. Not only was this episode hotly anticipated, but it was also the release of the big brand new video game Dragon Ball FighterZ or Dragon Ball FighterZ Z. And I've been playing it like for the last 24 hours, and I just cannot get enough. And getting to see 17 and this god version of Toppo in this episode, I want to see them as DLC characters in the game. There's supposed to be like 8 new characters they're going to add, and I really hope that Jiren, Toppo, and Dispo are going to be a part of that group. Maybe I can make a separate video about that. I'd love to make some more videos about Dragon Ball FighterZ, actually. I have been recording some of my gameplay, so if you guys actually do want to see some of that, let me know in the comment section below. But getting back on track, this episode right here was just epic. It's just the best way to describe it. Wholly satisfying, really fun to watch, and a great display of Toppo's overall power and letting us know that he truly is going to be a threat and a wild card character at the very end of the Tournament of Power. We're this much closer to the end of it, guys, and I can't wait to see how it's all going to end. This episode right here was so entertaining to watch. Watching it with friends was even better. I'm giving this one a 5 out of 5. Check it out, Dragon Ball fans. Make sure to tell me your thoughts about the episode in the comment section below and what you're hoping to see from the conclusion of what is arguably the most hyped saga in all of Dragon Ball history. Thank you guys for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, stay damn down, baby.